Great.
Well, hello everybody, I'm back. And okay, so earlier I talked a little bit about spirituality, actually for a longer period. But anyways, back to basics. We need to be able to have a solid solution in regards to how do we stop our the government criminality in the collection of AI and also the collection of our DNA. So when we were looking at things back in 2021, we noticed that DNA was being illegally collected through the use of PCR tests. And the people were not signing any, they weren't giving us any disclosures, or even the people who had PCR tests done were not being told that their actual DNA would be collected through that. They were just said, okay, we're just going to test you for, see if you have the disease. Or the virus, I should say. So anyways, what I'm trying to show here is that what they did and what they have created against the Canadian citizens and Indigenous peoples of Canada and worldwide was actual criminal intent. And the criminality of all this is because this has been coming up for long periods of time, that they've been planning this, and we can see this in the new development. So we went from the industrial complex to now genetics. So from industrialized civilization to now a genetics-based civilization. You'll see that back in 2021, I had noticed that the United States had been selling results from PCR tests, DNA from that back as early as March 20th, 2020. And this one of the samples was from an American person, male, who was negative. So I'm going to show you exactly what I had sent to David Lametti, because I'd written 2 letters, one in June, and then one in August, I think. So anyways, we'll be checking the dates there. But I spoke about this back in June of 2021. And then really, I was really upset back in August of 2021. So we're going to be over this, because I could put my hand in fire. Although I couldn't prove that Canada was actually selling the DNA tests, it really looked like it, because we're in bed with the NIH as much as the United States is. And there was this Dr. Martin that also worked on the Human Genome Project, which was finally finalized back in the beginning of 2000. And all of a sudden, then we come up with SARS, and then all of a sudden H1N1, and then H5N1, and then so on and so on. And then they saw that even with SARS, there's a lot of ethical things that were done to the people that the public policies should not encourage, or even for the fact that public health went beyond the code of ethics and the government. So they had this document that said, lessons from SARS. And the thing is they did worse than what they learned through the lessons from SARS. So I was really upset over this. And then I decided to write this letter. So we're going to do a screen share and to be able to show you this. So I'm just going to do this here right now. Whoops, hang on here. Okay. I had to make sure that this was off. Okay, so now screen share. I'm just going to find the right letter. Okay. Right here. Okay. So now we proceed to the screen share for use. Because you need to be able to see this to understand where I'm coming from here. And I pretty much told David Lametti, and I sent this to everybody. I don't know if you can remember way back then. So this was the letter that I sent actually August 10th, 2021. And the first one I think was June 14th. But I didn't really explain the DNA part and the collection there. But I do explain it here. So I'm going to go directly to the spot. So first of all, David Lametti is the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada. He's no longer that. He's been switched by Trudeau, demoted him, I guess, and chose somebody else. But the thing is these guys were really heavy duty involved in, since the beginning of the measures that were implemented against the people. So when you look at David Lametti, who is supposed to be the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, who does not uphold the rule of law or uses rule by law, as well as with the Supreme Court Justice, the head of the Supreme Court, Judge Wagner, you have to wonder what these people are doing. So anyways, I'm just going to come back down here, and this you'll be able to find on our website. And I'll give you the list. So, okay, so here, this was our criminal contraventions that I was accusing them of, which was, acts that protect us are Assisted Human Reproduction Act, the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act, intimidation and coercion under the Criminal Code, the Privacy Act, the Canadian Human Rights Act, and other contravention of acts and criminal code apply. But there's also our international human rights laws and the laws that they created for the protection of our genome. And so a lot of this is really important because if you read here, here it says, and this was the actually the isolation, sequence, infectivity, and replication kinetics of I won't say anything so that we don't get blackballed, but on YouTube. But anyways, here it says our study strongly suggests that the human immune cells tested do not support a productive infection, okay, of this. And then it goes on to say that this is all they go on to say that they'd have to do other testing, and other testing would have been for people who are immune depleted. Okay, so but basically the regular person whose immune system is good, it could not. Okay, the virus could not pass through the immune system. So basically it was nothing to worry about, at least for people who had good immune systems. The ones who didn't, might have some effects from it. So the bottom line is that they didn't have to do what they did for the last 3 years to Canadian citizens or the Indigenous peoples. But what happened was that the actual our DNA was being taken and kept for other reasons, and they never said that. So why did all of this happen? Was it for money? What was it for? Well, I'll tell you, it was to monetize our DNA. And it all started back in 2018. So I'm going to bring you to the section here where they've sold, oh geez, hang on, where they've actually sold the PCR tests. And it was long enough letter, like I was really pissed. Oh, here it is. Okay, so now we start here. What I ask is the question most asked is, why is it that when you follow the science and the history of previous SARS outbreaks and pandemics, none of this current pandemic makes any common sense at all? Everybody was like freaking out, right? So the answer only makes sense when we connect the dots by asking the next questions below. Was the term, okay, I'll say it, COVID-19, and its supposed symptoms from SARS-CoV-2 scare to enforce the collection of the RT-PCR test for our DNA, RNA, obtained illegally for more than 18 months without the informed consent of the Canadian and Indigenous peoples. That was back in 2021. Now we're in 2023. So how many months and tests did they collect from Canadian citizens and Indigenous people since? So anyways, here we're saying to remove parental rights to enable the governments, educators, and medical and nursing associations to elicit the coercion of underage children to give them mRNA injections, and to create a DNA collection for Genome Canada, Genome British Columbia, Genome Alberta, Genome Prairie, Ontario Genomics, Genome Quebec, Genome Atlantic, CanCogen, and from the tens of thousands of Quebec COVID-19 RT-PCR tests stored at the Quebec Biobank in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, as mentioned in a video interview, but not claimed in their website. And what they did since then is they created this huge international biobank. And if you research, then you'll be able to see that the Quebec, okay, the Quebec 19 organization actually is the one that collects everything for Canada and then represents us at the international data bank. So, you know, you have to wonder, because back even the BQC 19, okay, that's the corporation that is actually doing taking over, doing the DNA testing for Quebec, but also for all of the provinces and at the international level. So, and then I could saying that to collect DNA samples for the Canadian government's Horizon Transhumanism program, or for the Genome Canada Association, the USA NIH, which was in receipt of $39 billion budget, as well as an increase in the USA healthcare handed out in 2019. So they got tons of money from Trump, okay, from Trump to do this, okay, this $39 billion budget, as well as an increase to the USA healthcare handed out in 2019, and then increasing our own Canadian health budgets to cover a pandemic scheme for their SARS-CoV-2 positive and negative DNA test collection for their new international biobank, of which McGill University sits on its ethics committee, while being in conflict of interest and the worldwide Great Reset by the World Economic Forum agenda. And then was it also to collect negative SARS-CoV-2 nasopharyngeal DNA tests and sell the samples. And it's not just negative, it's also positive SARS-CoV-2 nasopharyngeal DNA tests, and sell the samples as the USA is doing for $200 US, sold without the people's knowledge and full informed consent. Well, actually, 23andMe actually sells them for $20,000 a strand, which you'll see. So this is the monies that the NIH got, and they put in, all total, they got $41.7 billion. Okay. So this is what Fauci got in 2021, and then in 2022, 51 billion. Okay. So they increased it to 9 billion, from 41 billion to, they went from 39 to 41, then 51, and an extra $9 billion, all courtesy of who? Okay. So you have to ask yourself questions. So USA Discovery Life Sciences Biobank SARS-CoV-2 positive and negative nasopharyngeal DNA samples sold for $200 each. So here you can go to, if you click here, you'll be able to go to the DLS store. So I'm just going to click it here and see what we get. Okay, so now you're gonna, this is the store, okay? And I'm just gonna bring this here a little bit higher, okay? So this is the Discovery Bio store, and there you can buy all kinds of DNA samples, blood samples, you name it. It's in there. So I'm just going to go back here to the Lametti letter and move this again. So when you look at this and then you come to here, and I was able to get through to their product data sheet. Okay, so again, SARS-CoV-2 clinical research sample, and I'm just going to reduce this a bit, and hopefully you'll be able to see it bigger on your screen there. Okay, so hopefully you can see this bigger. And here it says gender, male, patient ethnicity, non-Hispanic, test 1, Abbott real-time SARS-CoV-2 RT-PCR, test data, negative. Okay, so it was negative. Blood type, unknown. Swab source, nasopharyngeal. And then that the date of SARS-CoV-2 test. Okay, March 18th, 2020. And so it was between March 18th, 2020 to the 4th of April, the 29th of April, I should say the 4th, April 29th, 2020. So that little span there is for how long it's good, right? So I'm asking the questions like, why are you doing all this? And I never got an answer. Of course, I didn't get an answer. So I said, was it to remove our laws and the protection of Canadians and Indigenous peoples' genome through the Assisted Human Reproduction Act and the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act for the use of CRISPR gene editing technology on the DNA, RNA, RT-PCR samples of Canadian Indigenous peoples, and finally force Canadians and Indigenous nations through coercive measures and threats to accept mandatory forced, illegal mRNA gene therapy treatment injections and to allow gene editing in Canada. The whole thing is about a new economic, it's all about economics. It's about going from the industrial complex to genetics, okay, to the science. And the DNA is going to be a new currency. Okay, so just watch and see. So here is if what we say is by connecting the dots, it became obviously clear as to why our governments, Genome Canada and provinces, scientists, and medical associations and universities would all be so willing to commit illegal acts to further their human genome CRISPR project and the creation of an international biobank of human DNA collection, collected and held in Quebec from Canadians and Indigenous nations to instill their new future economy in gene editing and transhumanism agenda while destroying our constitutions and rights worldwide. This is what's been happening, people. That's the big picture there concerning their new economy. And their new economy is ourselves. Okay. So here, please see Horizons QC.ca. So we're going to go to Horizons. Okay. And this thing freaks me out. Horizons.gc.ca. This is where I'm going to find this, but you have to go to exploring biodigital convergence. At first, it would come up right away. Then they kind of hid this one behind other places. So here it says what happens when biology and digital technology merge. Okay. So Policy Horizons Canada is a strategic foresight organization within the Government of Canada with a mandate to help the government develop future-oriented policy and programs that are more robust and resilient in the face of disruptive change on the horizon. Well, what disruptive change? Now, the content of this document does not necessarily represent the views of the Government of Canada or participating departments and agencies. Well, that's BS. This is, if they are part of the Canadian government, the Government of Canada, they are responsible. And the Canadian government allowed all this to happen, knowing that we had laws against this, plus international laws against that, and that other countries have signed on to in the protection of our genome. So what do they say here? Okay, so we're going to see, this is the person who heads this. And I'm just going to bring this down here. Okay. Crystal van der Elst, okay, Director General, Policy Horizons.ca. So this is a little bit of a summary from in the late 1970s and early 1990s, Canadian policymakers began to understand that the digital age was upon us. Yeah. But even way after that, that's when our laws really stopped, because you can't touch the human genome, because then we will no longer be humans found in nature if we do anything to our genome. So it's really important. But what is their purpose here? All of these geneticists, excuse me, who kind of took over, Bill Gates and his father, geneticists. So biodigital convergence is opening up striking new ways to change human beings, our bodies, minds, and behaviors, change or create other organisms, alter ecosystems. So right now they're using the language, everything's an ecosystem. Even what you think is an ecosystem. How you act is an ecosystem. Okay. So now the way they want to do the digitization of our monies and collect all of our information was because now everything you do is your DNA. Okay. So now they have sense, store, process, and transmit information, manage biological innovation, structure and manage production and supply chains. But what do they need? Possible characteristics of the biodigital system: democratization, destroying democracy; decentralization; geographic diffusion; scalability; customization; reliance on data. Okay. So it keeps going on and on and on. But you know, the one thing, so could social attitudes shift towards health and lifestyle? What policies could help address health inequality? What policies could foster trust among partners and stakeholders? Well, what about Canadian citizens? What about the Indigenous nations? So we leave from there and then we'll go here. Okay. And to me, it was just mind-blowing. Okay, where is this one here? I'm just trying to find here. See, there we go. Just going to look here. Again. Where is this one? Oh, this one really, I did another video previously, and then I went on hell-bent on the spirituality of things and our experiences that we've had, but that's neither here nor there. What's the reality is we need to find a solution. We found that solution, but we need the people to start really working with us. Okay. Oh, wait, there we go. I'm just going to have to go to here and more. Okay. Not that one. Sorry about that, everyone. I just had it a while ago and I'm trying to, it was CNN. I was totally floored when I seen this. But anyways, okay, where am I here? There. Nope. Not that either. Okay. It's because I changed pages a while ago and I should have. And I'm just going to go CNN. Okay. And there we go. Found it. Now, I'm going to do a screen share. And I was so livid because the thing is a lot of this stuff was not, I couldn't find any of this. But now and this is why I want to talk to you about AI and why they have to really get all of the information through AI to create their data banks and collect as much information as humanly possible. So here it says Harvard genetics pioneer wants to monetize DNA with digital currency and defeat 23andMe. Okay, so 23andMe actually sells a full DNA strand for $20,000. So here it says, Harvard genetic pioneer George Church has founded Nebula Genetics to use the blockchain and digital currency as a way to monetize DNA. So this was written back February 8th, 2018. And dates are really important, people, because we can go all the way to the beginning of 2000 with the Human Genome Project, which Fauci is involved, and also this Dr. Martin, but it's not David Martin that is screaming about, how Canada is involved in racketeering. So, yeah, Canada is involved in racketeering, but racketeering of DNA, okay, and other things. So here it says, Nebula takes direct aim at 23andMe and Ancestry.com, saying their technological approaches are outdated and do not offer a financial incentive for more individuals to sequence their genomes. So what these companies do is they'll make you sign a waiver if they can use your DNA for research or whatever. And most people will sign it, not thinking anything of it, but not knowing that they make this much money off of one strand of DNA. Okay, one isolation. So here it says, it also argues that the current genomics business model does not address data ownership and privacy concerns, among other challenges. So everybody wants to get their DNA tested and know about their ancestry and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, that's private information. Well, these companies are able to, and in the United States, they have a law where there's privacy issues, but they also say that, they're allowed to take extra, the samples that are left over, they can give you your, let's say you go for a blood test. Well, the doctor wants to know certain things. Well, they can use the leftover to do whatever research they want. And that's fine, but not in Canada. In Canada, it's illegal. Okay, so anyways, we'll keep going down here. They say it's probably wise to be skeptical of anyone who says they have a new idea for a blockchain-based economy, or worse still, a company changing its business model to focus on the crypto world. The iced tea company that shifted its model to the blockchain, or Kodak, saying its road back to riches was managing photo rights using a blockchain system, raise eyebrows or move directly onto outright shake the head. Okay. So anyways, it's all about this gentleman here, George Church, who is now created, he says, Harvard University genetics guru, George Church, one of the scientists at the forefront of the CRISPR genetic engineering revolution. CRISPR is a machine, and we have, McGill University has one, which can, they claim that they can switch your genes. If you've got let's say a cancer gene or an ugly gene, they can change the genes for better ones and replace that into your DNA. Okay, so if you're susceptible to maybe getting cancer, well, they'll be able to remove that cancer gene and replace it with something, or just leave it alone. However they do it, I don't know, but it's to replace the genes anyway. So here it says, they announced on, the CRISPR genetic engineering revolution announced on Wednesday a startup, Nebula Genomics, that will use the blockchain to not only allow individuals to share their personal genome for research purposes, but retain ownership and monetize their DNA through trading of a custom digital currency. So you'll be able to sell your own DNA. Mind you, at first, like without this guy here, they want to be able to have access to your DNA, whether you knew about it or not, and sell it for how much money they can make. It's the new currency. So here they're saying, well, at least the people can keep them and sell their DNA. And then we thought, well, where they're going with our digital currency and how, bringing us into the CBDC and how they're going to monetize everything about us. Well, this is how. Okay. So now we've become the new gold. Okay. Humans, human DNA, human genetics. So the genomics revolution has been exponentially advanced by drastic reductions in cost. As Nebula noted in the white paper explaining its business model, the first human genome was sequenced not sentence, was sequenced in 2001 at a cost of $3 billion. So Dr. Martin got $3 billion, or actually the gentleman who actually started, not Dr. Martin, but he just took over, got $3 billion. Today, human genome sequencing costs less than 1,000 sequencing. So they can do it for much less than that. And in a few years, the price will drop below 100. So they can sequence your DNA for a lot less. So in some big Silicon Valley startups led by 23andMe have capitalized on this rapid advance and already offer personal DNA testing kits for around $100, sometimes with discounts even less. Why? Because they want your DNA. Nebula took direct aim at 23andMe in its white paper, and one reason why it can offer genetic testing for less. Today, 23andMe and Ancestry.com are the two leading personal genomics companies. Both use DNA microarray-based genotyping for their genetic tests. It is an outdated and significantly less powerful alternative to DNA sequencing. Instead of sequencing continuous stretches of DNA, genotyping identifies single letters spaced at approximately regular intervals across the genome, while human whole genome sequencing determines 6.4 billion letters. Microarray-based genotyping used by 23andMe and Ancestry identifies letters at only 600,000 positions. Thus, it generates small amounts of data that are of limited value to individual data owners and researchers. 23andMe and Ancestry.com did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Well, no kidding, right? They just got ousted as, being, making money off of people's DNA, that people, who want to know their own ancestry are being used for them to make even more money. So you pay them, so they get paid to do the sequencing, and then they resell the sequencing and make a ton more money. And that's the reality of things. Okay, so they say that when registering the kit online, the 23andMe provides a separate consent form and explains to users that it won't share personal DNA information without explicit consent. A majority of users do consent to share their DNA information for research purposes, as high as 85%. So they think they're helping out research. All along, you're not just helping out research, you're making them become millionaires. Okay. So in effect, individuals are paying 23andMe to test their DNA, and more often than not, giving 23andMe the right to then monetize that DNA in research efforts, sometimes in partnerships with pharmaceutical companies. 23andMe has partnerships with major drug companies like Pfizer, like the company it has spawned from Alphabet's Google, which is an investor. It plans to develop a major source of revenue by helping to develop blockbuster drugs. But the underlying DNA for the research is freely given away by individuals, like Google monetizing your search activity. The co-founder and CEO of 23andMe, and Wojcicki, is the former wife of Google founder Sergey Brin. Personal genome sequencing will soon be widely adopted as it enables better diagnosis, disease prevention, and personalized therapies. Furthermore, if genomics data is shared with researchers, the causes of many diseases will be identified and new drugs developed. These opportunities are creating a genomic data market worth billions of dollars, Nebula wrote in its papers. And that's true. Billions of dollars are created. But the thing is so they think, well, we're going to tell the people, well, we're going to create a new DNA stock exchange, and you'll be able to make money from your DNA sales. Okay. And this is where this is going. So now from modern medicine, well, putting synthetic DNA inside a human being is coming. They're creating synthetic DNA. So, they say, okay, well, it's all good. So Biden seeks to crack the code on cancer. Well, they use good things and then make bad things out of them, because they'll try to get us to say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, you don't want cancer, there's a way of removing it and everybody's going to be better for it. But at the same time, then they own you. Okay. So Nebula claims its peer-to-peer network based on the blockchain will enable data buyers to acquire genomic data directly from data owners without middlemen. This will enable data owners to receive sequencing subsidies from data buyers and profit from sharing their data. The model will also deal with privacy concerns by allowing data owners to privately store their genomic data and control access to it. Data owners will remain anonymous, while data buyers will be required to be fully transparent about their identity. People pay to sequence or genotype their genomes and receive analysis results. Personal genomics companies keep the genomic data and sell it to the pharma and big biotech companies that use the data for research and development. Nebula wrote a model that address none of the challenges that are keeping genome sequencing from being more broadly embraced by the public. So they're really trying to make it sound, oh, it's so good. And now you can sell, you'll be making money off of it. But the thing is when we get back to the reality of things, is that how far they're willing to go. So 3 years of free DNA collection, people. That's your information. Okay. So now we're the new commodity. DNA is the new commodity. So they create a bogus pandemic all for this. Our genome is supposed to be protected. Trudeau allowed mRNA to be used in our genome. The genome is protected. So even if they say, oh, it doesn't change your DNA. Yeah, it does. It does so by actually, and I speak about that in that letter. Okay, that by changing the RNA, you're changing the genome. You're doing something to the genome. So right away, it affects, even if it's not the DNA directly, you're affecting the genome. It is illegal. It comes with $1 million fine and 10 years in jail. And I explained that on the letter. They should all be behind bars. Freeland, Trudeau, the whole cabinet, and Lametti, and even Wagner, because he's allowing them, the justice system in Canada is allowing the government, the federal and provincial governments, and even municipalities to break the laws through our rights, and claiming, oh, well, it's an emergency. It's not an emergency. They can't prove it. If we use the Syracuse principles and the Johannesburgs, they cannot prove that they have the right to do to pull out the emergency measures, let alone go after the convoy. They had no business for the federal government to come out with the emergency measures, nor the provincial ones. So all of it was based on them making money by forcing us into this vaccine. It's not a vaccine, in order to take this treatment, and under a trial, no doubt. And we have government documents that says it's all based on a trial. Well, some got a placebo, others, well, they got a little bit of a dose, and then the other one's got a bigger dose, and then now we've got kids dying. We've got tons of people who died. This is no laughing matter. For what? To pocket money? It's provable. I've been yelling about this since 2021. We are 2023. Now they're starting to talk about it. This is why we've created the Canadian People's Union, to find a solution so that we can stop corporations from managing our governments and then sending us into these. I mean, this is no longer Canada. You can't recognize our country anymore. So what did we do? So now we've got two very special people, well, more than two, that actually have been working on, what is the C.P.U. about? The Convention of Consent. We talk about the Convention of Consent, which is a solution for all Canadians and Indigenous peoples. If we all sign it and at least get, they'll say they require 51% of the 7 provinces that have the most people. So this is what the government goes by. But the thing is as many signatures as we can get, the better it helps us. The better we can go to the international and say, hey, Canadians are upset. Our government will do nothing to help us because our government is trying to kill us off. Here's the proof. They're trying to make money off of our DNA. Here's the proof. They want transhumanism to be number one and the moneymaker for them now, because most people are in debt, can no longer afford things. So what are they going to do now that we can't spend on credit cards or have no more credit limit or no more credit at all? How are they going to control us, right? So how are they going to keep trying to make money? Well, this is it, people. At first I thought, okay, corporations taking over government through the security, through the public-private partnerships, which we launched. Canada has always been the number one to launch everything within globalization. They made everybody think that Canada was so great, and Canada's always in there. Oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to help the International Criminal Court, and we're going to go beyond what everybody else has done, and even remove our own immunity. Well, thank you. Mind you, that's under war, but also under a crisis, right? And then they have something that says, oh, and even the businesses that are involved, if you're a superior, and your employees do something that's not right, or you gave the order, you can go to jail. If the military sees things that they're not stopping it, you can go to jail. Well, wouldn't that work for the chief of the Supreme Court of Canada? He's allowing, the Supreme Court of Canada is supposed to be in charge of protecting the law, the rule by law, not instilling rule, the rule by law, but protecting the rule of law. But they're allowing it. It's like everything's been flipped around. Now we got to flip it the right way. So how do we do that? Okay, so now this year we've come up with the 2023 edition of the C.P.U. PowerShift Chronicles. All you need to know about the C.P.U. PowerShift collective and civil political rights intervention strategy, and you can find it at the cpu.ca. So our intervention strategy, before we had like the crash course, what's the C.P.U? This year will give you a little bit more, a lot more information, I should say. And I've just printed that off. So anyways, it'll explain to you partocracy. Von Lyons calls it partyocracy, but the real word is partocracy. So anyways, it says, what are the coup d'etats? What are we doing? What do we need to do? How do we get together? And this is what I was trying to say in the previous one, is that we need to be collectively, to collectively stand together on the same wavelength, and in regards to one issue. And that issue is our right to collective self-determination, which was not put into our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And in regards to what Canada has signed on to, and the UK, and the fact that our Canada Act 1982 is still in the UK, but they're going to say, oh no, it came back down here, and trying to confuse everybody, right? Well, add more confusion. Well, Canada, as some of the judges said, Canada's a paradox. Yeah, why is it a paradox? Because of all the lies. That's why it's a paradox. And you can't have a constitutional monarchy and then say you're a democracy. And who's democracy for who? Canadians do not have democracy in Canada. If democracy in Canada would mean that in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, they would have added the fact that we can vote on each issue that the Canadian government deals with, or the provincial government, or the municipal government. We have the right to participate in every single issue that affects Canada. We are the ones responsible for the debt. We are the ones responsible for putting Parliament in power. But the thing is they never allowed us to be, when they stole our rights, they never added that we would have final say as the collective. They left everything about our collective rights out of the charter on purpose. UNDRIP, we need to check UNDRIP. What did they leave out of UNDRIP? But, well, it's not a matter of what did they leave out of UNDRIP. Now, Saskatchewan, okay, they've created a law in Saskatchewan. They changed the charter for Saskatchewan, and now we have to check all of the provinces, see if they change every province, because Trudeau, I said, oh, you can change the constitution. There's a loophole. The loophole was that if there's something in regards to a province and they need to change the constitution for, well, they would be able to do it if it just affects that province. And that's what they're using. So, oh, well, excuse me, we have equality rights in Canada. If Saskatchewan decides that you can no longer sue the Saskatchewan government, what are the Indigenous nations going to do? What are the reparations there? If you can't sue the government, who can you sue? Nobody. So Saskatchewan, 2022, they changed the Constitution of Canada under the Saskatchewan Act. They changed the Saskatchewan Act, and that Section 24 states that the government can no longer cannot be sued. So now we're looking at tons of people dying in Canada at the hands of the Canadian government and public health, and their stupidity, and the fact that the Canadian Bar Association and all of the bars in every province made sure that the judges could not put our rights above this fake pandemic. And then force everybody in coercion to get injected. And then people suffering because of those injections. That is a trial to begin with. Now we're starting to see the documentation. Now we're starting to see what was all behind it. And it was about the new gold, DNA. And who's going to have access to that DNA? You think, well, if you've got cancer, well, it's going to cost you so much money for us to use the CRISPR on you. But you don't have enough money because now those genes are going to be very costly because so many people have, we can't just give it to anybody. So now you can see why I'm pissed off. Those who have watched my previous show this morning, I'm sorry. I had to get that stuff out of my head because we don't want anybody in fear. Why is AI so important? They need to know everything and everything that we do. It was because of DNA. And now I'm going to show you a little video. Okay, we're going to do a screen share. And it just gives you they always use good to entice you into a lie. Okay, so again, you got to kind of see here where that's coming from. But we can pretty much, racketeering, Justin Trudeau and the pharmaceuticals, DNA collection, selling tons of vaccines, sending a whole bunch down to the other countries. Oh, those poor little third world countries. We're going to send them this vaccine that may kill them. Who cares, right? But I'm going to get a pat on the back by all my little pharma buddies and all of my little Illuminati friends, all the corporations that pay for me to change policy in the WEF. So when are we going to clean this shit, people? Who's going to put these people behind bars? Right now, there's no laws that we can use ourselves here where we can have judges who would actually apply the law that is supposed to protect us against these shills. Double agents. They've been double agents for who? The pharmas, the corporations, the eugenicists, Bill Gates. Why is that man still allowed in this country? We need to clean up this mess. And we need to clean it fast. And no, I haven't gone insane. Okay. But we need to be able to come together as a unit so that we can be a force behind that Citizens Convention of Consent. So now you can go, I told you I was going to show you a little video. So I'm just going to go to, see if I can find it here. Okay, well, okay, how AI will disrupt. Okay. I had one video here that says, how AI could disrupt. But yeah, it could be very dangerous. And AI is like consciousness. We create consciousness. Everything we do gets out into the universe. And then the same as what you would enter data into a computer. Okay, so your computer is your brain, but really your brain is your heart. The biggest brain that you've got is inside your heart. I was trying to explain all this a while ago so that you can understand the difference between consciousness and AI is not much difference, except one is, how can I say, artificial. Okay. Try to see here. Okay. There we go. The human genome. Nope, not that one. The human genome project. Oh, okay. I forgot to show you this, and I'm going to have the links to these here, just to show you while we're on the genome here. I really need to. So you're going to find this too is under science, the Human Genome Project under an international ethical microscope. So there are protections worldwide against damaging our genome. Okay. And this is, and then they've been trying to coerce governments. So along the lines, and every time a government changes and a new political party comes in, they have their shills like Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, and Jagmeet Singh, who are World Economic Forum, young leaders. And then they sent them in, just like China would, or Pakistan, or whatever, would have sent terrorists or, like double agents into our country to infiltrate and to change our policies. And that's exactly what happened. So the WEF is no better than any other country in the world who has infiltrated our governance. And this is not just our governance, it's worldwide. These people also need to be in jail. Somebody needs to go after the WEF and lock them all up, and NIH and lock them up too, all the ones responsible. So anyways, yeah, I'm having when they start dealing and pretending that they're God, that's when I get pissed. Or creator, I should say. You don't want to be God or creator. Who would want that job, right? But they do. And they want to be able to make all kinds of stuff. So really here you look at first glance, the Human Genome Project seems ungoverned by any explicit ethical or legal norms. However, from its beginning, the HGP, Human Genome Project, has spawned a myriad of international, regional, and national reports and guidelines, and more recently, some legislation. A review of the last 5 years, December, and that was back in the 90s, December 1989 to July 1994, reveals several areas of international consensus that could serve to harmonize eventual national regulation. 5 basic principles underline the consequence. Autonomy, privacy, justice, equity, and quality out of respect for human dignity, ensuring that these international areas of commonality are reinforced and adopted by the Human Genome Project is an ethical and political challenge, a unique opportunity to direct rather than react. So here, again, genetic testing was seen as, no, you don't go there. But through money and buying out people, they were able to do it. Okay, seriously, like unbelievable. So how much billions did Fauci get, and their Dr. Martin, and then finally Dr. Martin had to quit, and then Fauci stayed there holding the bag. Well, you'll be able to wonder why did McMaster's University, with the isolation, all of a sudden the head of that got a nice cushy job at Cancogen. And this is why I was so pissed off in 2021. Where did she go, right? Why did McMaster's University sound the alarm? The 3 universities, the hospitals that worked on the pandemic, why didn't they say, hey, no, it's no big problem, no big to do? Nobody said a friggin' word, not even the doctors. And this floors me, because on a planet of 8 billion people, couldn't one doctor read the information? Like, seriously. Okay, the human genome, YouTube. Okay, I can't find this video, but accelerating genomic data. No, that's not it. Lessons from the human genome. Okay, I was flipping a while ago, so I guess I lost it. But anyways, it's in regards to AI and how AI can actually, or the human genome as well. Oh, here we go. I found it. So I'm just going to bring that back. And because I really want you to see the lessons from Human Genome Project. And it sounds really good. They want you to really like this, because, oh my God, it can help. Yes. I mean, I've got no problems with that, but that should be on a personal basis, and they should not be allowed to sell genomes, people's genomes, like they're selling body parts. Okay. So how many people have died for their body parts? Seriously, we can only assume. So this is from the National Human Genome Research Institute, which we know will not tell you the full truth or the detriments from this. So I'm just going to bring that here, and we're going to play that for a minute. First, I got to make sure that you can hear this. I'm going to do a stop share real quick, and then go back. Portion screen, share sound, this, okay. Share sound, there we go. Now I'm all okay. And we're going to be playing this.
In 1989, a group of scientists was assembled to decode the human genome under the direction of Dr. James Watson.
One of Watson's big motivations here was to try to recruit the best and brightest from many different disciplines, biology, but also physics, chemistry, engineering, because all of those would have to get together if this was going to work.
Many of the biologists, and I love them dearly, of course, were dragged into it kicking or screaming in the beginning, because they failed to see the tremendous value that such an enterprise would provide the field.
The talent turned out to be all over the world, so you have to basically make it possible for those bright minds to get engaged where they are. They're not going to all move to join this effort.
Genomics has fundamentally changed the way we do science. It brought the notion of team science and collaboration to biology.
Curious thing about collaboration, it's also intensely competitive. Each person wants to achieve something personal. They want to make their hit, on the problem, but then immediately they want to share it with the other, and the other learns immediately. And so you ratchet each other up.
From the beginning of the Genome Project, there was a fairly strong sense of enthusiasm in the public sector, the private, and academia.
We had lots of support from Republicans, partly because Newt Gingrich was interested in science, and I knew it. There's no partisan difference in everybody wanting to live as long as they can.
I think there's a lesson there. It isn't a big monolithic project. It was a big challenge, but it brought people together. And I think that's what we have to do in the future.
when the Human Genome Project was started, it's important to note the technology of sequencing was not developed yet. So it's, in a sense, a project that was launched with a wing and a prayer.
We couldn't sequence it at that time. The machines were nothing like fast enough. There were no machines even. Sequencing was done by hand.
I thought we might have to do it brute force, and I was quietly prepared to use the old-fashioned technology just because it was so important to get it done.
There are a lot of things, that would make life easier that just hadn't been invented yet.
It'd be a 100-year project like monks working to copy a book at best.
Bit by bit, we got into more and more large-scale sequencing. But the sequencing is enormously important because it provides the possibility of searching by computer.
When I showed up at Washington University one day with a computer terminal kind of under my arm, people looked at it and said, "What are you going to do with that?" This is a genetics department.
Genomes were supposed to be too complex to be able to reassemble them in the computer.
Without computers, we simply would be dead in the water.
Computers and genomics were made for each other. Genetic information is digital. It's like binary code. It just happens to use 4 digits instead of 2. It is amazingly accurate, and that's what biology gets from digital information.
The Human Genome Project contributed a cultural change about data sharing because the Genome Project was about sharing data almost immediately. And while it seems obvious now, it wasn't obvious then. That required significant effort.
I think I'm quite lucky as a scientist because I grew up always sharing data. The community around me, the genomics community, the worm and fly communities as well. It's just a default that you're going to share everything. You're going to share the code. You're going to share everything by publishing, but you're going to share it before publishing. You're going to share half-cooked ideas. And in fact, this is a wonderful thing. It's liberating.
It would have been virtually criminal to try to hoard discoveries that meant the difference in life and death in people.
This is information which we'll be using for centuries. The sooner we get it and everybody has access to it who wants it, the faster we can move in terms of understanding how life works and how disease occurs.
Patients invest a certain degree of fear about genetics. Who's going to find this out? How will it be used against me?
A lot of the ethical and social considerations that we're struggling with today really have historical roots in the early 1900s in the United States, where we had many states that had laws that allowed us to forcibly sterilize people and prevent them from having children based on whether we as a society felt that they were genetically fit.
So at the beginning of the Human Genome Project, we got it right of bringing in the social scientists, the ethicists, the lawyers, and we now have helped to provide a whole generation of scientists that are focusing on the ethical and social issues of genomics.
The sequencing of the human genome was a monumental achievement. Decades of work, thousands of scientists, billions of dollars, and we get this first roadmap for what makes up the human genome. It's an incredibly exciting moment. At the same time, it's just the beginning of what's really a much longer voyage.
And let's again be audacious, but let's not be unrealistic about what's possible. I think the next 10 years are going to see some exciting developments in genomics, particularly those where we start to use genomic information as part of routine medical care. And that'll be applied to dealing with diseases like cancer, hypertension, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease.
I dream of the day when every young mother brings a young girl or young boy home from the hospital with a little gene card, and they say, this is the way you should prepare this child's health care. It's exhilarating.
And there you have it, people. You know, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's great. Yes, it could be great. But the whole issue is, what else are they, how did they go about getting all of our DNA? And all of a sudden, oh, well, this guy died 7 years ago, but he actually did a murder back, you know, and we couldn't find. So through the DNA of family members, we were able to find him. So now when you look at the courthouses, whether you just throw a plastic bottle at a person here in Ontario, a person who did that didn't even harm him, just throw it on his coat. And she was charged with that. Had to go and get, in order to get released, she needs to give a DNA sample. Where do we draw the line? Oh, if you want your groceries, you have to give a DNA sample? And don't expect money for it. This other guy wants to help you make money from it, but that's worst case scenario, you know, like, I mean, to be able to get your DNA. But if you can get your DNA for free, instead of paying 23andMe $20,000 for a whole strand, well, it's a lot cheaper, right? So this is what it was about, people. And this is where we need to stand together and determine, yeah, if there's a child is born with a certain disease and they can fix it, well, that's up to you and your doctor and your medical team to determine that. But how much is it going to cost to begin with? Because you know that for them, the bottom line is money. So if it costs you at least $500,000 for a lung transplant, plus another $100,000 to be able to just get tested to see if you can get it, $600,000, who's got that in their pockets? Only the rich will be able to get these things. So we need to be able to ask questions to make sure that rules are in place. And as long as we have no rights to do that within our government, you know, they say, oh, well, we do communicate with the public. Well, what does the public mean? In all of the government documents, that, you know who the public they're referring to is? It's not you and me, baby. It's Parliament. The parliamentarians are referred to as the public. What is public interest? Is it you and me? It should be, because the parliament, we voted for those parliamentarians in, excuse me, and we should be able to tell them that, hey, we want you to vote a certain way. We don't want this. But then they said, well, because some people want a vote to go a certain way, other people want it to go another way, then the parliamentarians will actually be free of that. They won't have to pick between their constituents. So now we're going to make sure that they use only their conscience in voting. But it's not just their conscience in voting that they have to do. They're also told to either vote their conscience once in a blue moon, but they're told most of the time, which I would say 98% of the time, is to vote their political party way. So they have to vote the political party way to be able to stay in that political party, or else they're going to get ostracized if they try to go too many times against their own political party. So party politics needs to get out. We need to bring in independence, and we need to bring in people who do not have the final say. We need to have final say over what our government decides to do with our future. We have laws in place. The judges are corrupt to the tilt, or they're oblivious. They, you know, again, with the Syracuse principles and Johannesburg's, would protect us against everything that happened in the last 3 years, and it has not. Or even 1982. Why? Because of ignorance. So if we don't look at everything in the big picture, we thought the judges would uphold the law, uphold our rights. They did not. So now we've got people who are not even educated enough, who become judges, or people who are placed on committees who have different perceptions, making decisions for us. Have you had enough yet? Are you going to wait till we have no recourse? Because they are destroying our rights internationally. by every country, especially those 67 countries, the powerhouses, trying to get a hold of how they're going to make money off of us and every life form on the planet, and checking that genome and then using AI and to record everything we do, every breath we take. Seriously. We need to stop them. And we need to take a step back and then see how we're going to clean up this mess that they've created for us. So what we've done here is you can go to the PowerShift.ca or the C.P.U.ca. And I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to do a screen share and go to the website so that you can see exactly where to go. Okay, C.P.U.ca. There we go. I'm going to screen share. Okay. Now, this is our new website. And we have people on vacation for the summer. And hopefully they'll be back in time for September. But anyways, here's our new website. And if you go here, intervention strategy. That pleases me because I didn't know how to change this. Okay, so we go to under Learn, okay, intervention strategy, and we'll show you how you can get that. You can get to read. So what we're doing really is taking back our rights, because we have to do an intervention here against our Canadian government and our provincial governments and municipal governments. And how are we going to do this? Well, we need to have an intervention by the people to be able to bring positive change that requires action. So a quick overview of major events in Canadian political history, 19th century up to the present, can help understand how we have come to be in such a fragile situation. Having to take a strong stand to protect our rights and our country is why the power shift to freedom could be a necessary evolution for Canadians and Indigenous peoples. And this is the flip book that our volunteers have worked on. And I'm just going to bring this back a little bit. Okay, and open it up. Yeah, sometimes my screen is a little too wide. Okay, so now we're going to go like this. So all you need to know about the C.P.U. Power Shift, Collective Civil and Political Rights Intervention Strategy, the C.P.U.ca. So now we have our disclaimer. The C.P.U. Canadian People's Union is a civil and political rights union of Canadian Indigenous peoples whose rights are duly protected, activating their collective and personal rights to self-determination according to the national and international laws in force. Please note that their representatives act as researchers only. And yes, we are only researchers. We're not lawyers, okay? And we're trying to get the lawyers on board with this. And we're getting there slow but sure. And especially at the international level, because this affects so many other countries. And then we need another country to kind of back us up here. So out of 193 countries, I'm sure we can find one, and that'll come through, because a lot of them are not even, and if you watched our previous video from a week ago, you'll see that I've explained that, the CBDC, there's a lot of countries that want nothing to do with it. So you've got only 11 countries that have instilled it. And this comes from the ones under the UK, actually, under the Commonwealth. And there's two separate Commonwealths. There's the Commonwealth realm, which includes Canada and the other 14 countries. And then we have the Commonwealth of Nations, which includes 54 countries or 55. So anyways, don't take my word for the numbers there, but that's what's that. And which reminds me, when we were watching that video a while ago, it was actually Francis Collins that was with Fauci at NIH, and there's another Martin, but with other research that's been done on the genome. But the thing is it's Dr. Francis Collins, I need to make that correction, that was at NIH, and also participated in the Genome Project. And then he ended up walking away from Fauci. Okay. So I needed to get that clear. There's so many names and so much. It's unbelievable. And trying to keep track of everything in one brain is like, whoa, overwhelming. So here's a message from me. And also, this was a project by all the researchers, everybody here at the C.P.U, and what we've experienced, and this is what we've put together in the long run. And then here you have a table of useful abbreviations. We actually put down USA, United States of America, because the French people, we have a French version, but a lot of them don't understand. They'll say it's at least États-Unis, so it's EUA, EUA. So for them, it's a little confusing. So not to confuse them too much, we decided to, okay, we're going to do this. IAQs is Indigenous and Civil Unified Sovereign Enactment. That was written that way because of the Convention of Consent. So the Convention of Consent is key for everybody signing this, because it's what's going to allow us to be able to officially decolonize together, because our government won't do it. And a lot of them will say, well, Nicole, Canada just needs to say they're independent and that it's over and done with. And they've done this in 1982. No, we haven't, because the people still have not spoken. The Indigenous still have not spoken on that. And that's the reality of things. So all the lies that they've created since 1982 to make us think, that, oh, we're stuck with this. No, we're not. We can make the change, and we have the right to, even if that was correct, we have the right to self-determine together as a country, as the citizens of Canada and Indigenous nations, but it has to be done together legally. And that's the stipulations of the international. And at the international, the thing is we need to come to agreements. So they figure, well, we'll never see eye to eye anyway, so we'll never have an agreement and it'll never happen. So why even worry about it, right? They'll never do that. So we'll be able to steal all the natural resources from Canada, even burn them like they've been doing now, and try to get the people off the reserves, which is, I would put my hand in fire that that's true. So, there's some fires that have been starting naturally, but others, you have to wonder, especially when you see the color of the flames, which is not natural. So again, there you have to kind of assume, right? So we have to look at every possible avenue on the only way we're going to know the truth is if we have the right to go and see the truth. And right now we have no rights. So we need to go. The only rights we have is at the international. And that's why when people say, oh, let's get out of the UN, yeah, I can understand why they're saying that. And yes, the UN was infiltrated, just like the WEF infiltrated all of our governments. But there's people at the decolonization level, at the human rights level, that have not been sold out. And those are the people we want on our side, as well as people at the International Criminal Court. And what Canada has done with that is that Canada always tries to come ahead and show that how good it is, and it'll fork out the money and it'll help all at the international level, right? If you look at Agenda 21, man, Canada was right in there, dirty socks, ever since 1992. So when you see what Canada has done, and it's like, oh, Jesus, we're always there first, and we open up all these doors while we're bringing in the New World Order, and it's up to Canadian citizens to clean that crap up and not accept it. So everybody has a responsibility, and this is what we're trying to show here. So here we have the introduction. Join us in creating the greatest positive political change in Canadian history, the era of collective sovereignty, true freedom. And when we say collective, it's because the Canadian government acts as the sovereign. Okay, it's not the Queen or the Governor General. That was handed over in 1982 to they say what they call the Queen. It's not Elizabeth. It's the ensemble of the Senate, the Privy Council, the parliamentarians, and the Canadian government. So all of that embedded is the Crown. So again, You know, there's things that need to be said in courts that have to be spot on, and because we can lose our case in regards to that. Can we have a court case in Canada trying to find a judge that will be honest, trying to find the, you know, we're going to have to get after the courts. We're going to have to get after the justices. We're going to have to get after the lawyers to really be who they're supposed to be. The bar associations in every province, the Canadian Bar Association, the federal side of that, and then even go to the international and say, hey, you guys are screaming at the international that there's weird things going on in every country. Well, you need to start, you know, standing up with us and come after these countries like Canada that is abusing human rights. So again, and this here, well, you'll see that's me in my good days. And then that's Barb, who is on the Indigenous side, and she's a faith keeper, Cuga faith keeper. And then there's Dennis, who actually helped us survive all these years to come to today and to be able to bring you this information. So again, you can use your cell phones, you can use your tablets to get to our website, and then you'll be able to sign your Citizens Convention of Consent on our website. And then we're going to try to pass it off. We're going to try and spread that in a way so that other people who don't have internet access can have access. So all of this is in the works. Especially for hopefully by September 1st, we'll be able to bring you some more information on how we've proceeded, where we're up to, and to make sure that the Canadian government on September 18th knows that all of the people are ready to, who have signed the Citizens Convention of Consent, really want change, and they need to listen to us, or else they need to stop everything that they're doing. Never mind bringing new measures in and all these bogus things, because they're going to have to prove first that things actually exist. So we're going to have to all get together as one, and that's what the convention does, and that's what the Canadian People's Union is about. And again, at the international level, it's very important that we get that out as well. So you can see this, just go flip through the pages as you go, and you'll see when we went to Parliament, we actually activated our civil and political rights so that the government can't say, no, it's not true. They, you know, yes, we were there. Yes, the government knew. Yes, the police knew. The RCMP knew. We told them about everything. We showed them our rights. We were able to go. However, not very many people showed up because they were still afraid because of the emergency measures, you know, implemented against the convoy. So this again is some of our people, and they were in Quebec. So, you know, we've done quite a bit, but the thing is we need the people behind us. So, you know, all of these sections, signing the treaties, signing of the international treaties, those matter. And the lawyers here in Canada, there's some lawyers that know, thank goodness, that yes, know that international laws are embedded in our Constitution. And yes, the United Nations has penalized our country. But now we're going to have to really say, hey, now you have to, the UN rapporteurs and the American of the Organization of American States needs to also show that they mean what they say and come forward as well. So all of these things we're having to do, and it's so hard. We thought, oh, wow, the law's the law. Well, we found out the law's not the law. The judges will not uphold the law. The judges are all about status. They're all about, you know, or they're afraid, or I don't know what's going on. But the thing is only the Canadian citizens can put in place, because our existing governments will not, because the ones who are in there right now making all of the decisions and changing our policies and changing the structure of this country and what this country even looks like, they have the power right now. So only we the people can take it back, can take it out of their hands. And only by doing this action, This is the only legal solution, other than finally getting the politicians to do it. They never will. Even if we vote somebody else in, even you think Poilievre is going to back you up, well, guess what? Conservatives are the ones finalizing the New World Order. Trudeau did. Harper did not get an award saying that, you know, he won the Man of Conscience Award for the world. Okay, how many of you knew about that? Harper, if you go to the idu.org, you will see who's all in there, and I'm going to show you shortly. So again, this is our book. We're just going to go through it real quick, but anyways, you can go and see it there. And whoops, I'm just going to stop share that. Okay, so you can go and see our ebook there, that well, the flip book that we've created. So it tells you about who we are, what we do, why we're doing this for, and you know, we really need a change of consciousness within Canada, for all the people to stand together and work on the same thing, so that we can finally have true change. It's not running in different, we have to get them from different directions, but at the same time, we still need to stand together and not all separated. So separated is okay as long as we get them on different angles, but still joined at the middle. So again, we need your assistance with that. So now I want to also show you, what is it that I said I would show you? The idu.org. Okay, so I'm going to go to idu.org. Okay. And this is really, I've been following this, and if we go to the idu.org, it's coming up. And this is, you know, 40 years IDU video. We connect freedom. The bullshit. Excuse me. I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sick of the lies that they're feeding everybody. Freedom for who? Okay. So I didn't watch this video. I didn't see this one that they've just done. But what I want to bring you about is members. Okay. Like, this is the news. A country still in crisis, Lebanon, 3 years on the Beirut blast, and then national planning, the big picture, and horizon scanning, Israeli innovative AI-driven approach. Yeah, I can't wait to hear this one. But here is actually, I'm just going to move this here because that's in my way. So here you'll see IDU. About leadership, honorary advisory board, okay, and then members. And what was really interesting is that before they had history, okay. So here you have leadership. So this is going to be for a worldwide, political representation. Okay, so who's there? Stephen Harper. And then you have to wonder what Mulrooney's, you know, the daughter is doing, working for the Liberals. You know, but anyways, everybody's in bed. We all know that the three groups, NDP, Conservatives, and the Liberals, are all in bed together. They have for years. Nothing will change. Poilievre is not some saint that's going to come and save you. He's here to finish the job, but they want to give you, they've always given us over the years, people who you think will come and save us. And because they hope that by thinking that way, you will think that, oh, somebody else is going to do this and we don't need to do anything. So as long as you rely on political parties to help you out, to help us save this country, they haven't in 40 since 1982 or even before that, and they never will. So that's our experience. So you have all of these people here. Okay, so Croatian Democratic Union, Croatia, Conservative Party, Canada, Chelsea McKinty. Okay, so and then you keep going. So Moderate Party, Sweden, Republican Party, USA, Republicans with the Conservatives, And the Democrats also are, Christian Democrat Union. So the Democrats are spawns of the Republicans in the United States. And who brought us Mulrooney? But George Bush Sr. in 1983. Mulrooney has been part of all of the IDU, okay? And how they all came together. And when you read this, not sure. They've changed the website, so it's been a while since I've been here. Honorary Bird, Youth, Economics, History, right here. Let's hope they didn't change anything. Okay, formed in 1983, the IDU provides a forum in which parties holding similar beliefs can come together and exchange views on matters of policy and organizational interest so that they can learn from each other, act together, establish contacts, and speak with one strong voice to promote democracy and center right policies around the globe. No, they're all brought together to perpetrate the same lies over and over and over again. Okay. So here is what they're saying, that their mission. But here again, founded by 19 dignitaries who attended the meeting that established the IDU, held at the Hotel Intercontinental in London on the 24th of June, 1983, was Dr. Alois Mock, okay, from Austria, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, Conservative Party, Great Britain, Federal Chancellor Helmut Kohl, CDU, Federal Republic of Germany, Prime Minister Franz Joseph Strauss from Germany, Jacques Chirac from France, which was the Rassemblement pour la République France, then Mr. Andrew Peacock, Liberal Party, Australia. Liberal Party of Australia. Okay. M. Evangelos Avros to Caesar from Greece. Okay, so anyways, I'm not going to keep going through this. You finally get the gist, right? Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Eric Nielsen, Progressive Conservative Party, Canada. Okay. So now we're going to say, in addition, the U.S. Vice President George Bush and Norwegian Prime Minister Kjell Willoch, IDU's second chairman from 1987 to 1989, were present at both and spoke at the founding members. Click here for the minutes of the founding meeting and declaration of principles in PDF format. Okay, so actually here they used to have a piece about the United States, George Bush Sr., bringing in Mr. Mulrooney. Okay. So, but anyways, you might be able to find it in the minutes, but these are the signatories over here. Let's see here. Founding minutes. Okay, that was their contract. Okay, London, protocols, party leaders. Okay. So anyways, this is another one that you can go. It's idu.org. So we're not going to go through this. I'm going to stop it there. What else can I say? Other than please go to the CPU.ca. Everybody 15 and older can sign the Citizens Convention of Consent. It's on the website. You'll see convention. So you'll be able to find it there. Join the CPU as a member, and then you'll get to join our community. We've created a new section for our members in the community, and then we have the standard membership, and then you have the VIP membership, which you get a little bit more access to, more direct access to me and some of the information. The standard, eventually those people will also have full access. So we also have a site that we're starting to prepare right now, which is a business site for all the businesses to join eventually, because there's laws, international laws that affect them. The government saying that they're going to charge the corporations $100,000 if you don't force your employees to get injected. All of these things are illegal. Okay. And we need to all get together and to fight them on the same level, and in the sense that fight them, stop them through this intervention of gathering of peoples together, amassing the right information, and to be able to stop our mayors from having power the way that Doug Ford. So giving more power to the mayors is bringing in the global government of mayors, the World Parliament of Mayors, where all the mayors will they want to destroy our whole way of being, our whole societies, so that all the mayors can control everybody in every city. And that's why they've introduced the C40 cities, which combine the 15-minute cities, the 15-minute neighborhoods, all of these things. Everything now is a genome. Everything, that's the new, how do you call that? The ecosystem. So really pick up on these words, right? So we need to stop this. The mayors do not actually what Ford did is illegal, and it goes against our rights as well, the rights of the voters to elect councils, and now they can make decisions. Oh, it's because we need to create more housing. They brought in 1.1 million people in a year when they were only supposed to bring in over 450,000. And again, but they're claiming, oh, well, we had to bring all of the Ukrainians in and save these poor people. And, yes, I agree that there's some people that need to be helped. But the thing is when we don't even have enough housing for ourselves, you can't expect us to be able to fork out the extra funding for others coming in and trying to share everything we have when we don't have enough to share. First, you got to build first, then bring them in. So there's a lot of things that can be done, a lot of things that can assist these people for immigrating here, but most of them, it's just to help them out so that once they're safe to go back to their countries, well, then maybe we can show them that Canadians can take back our power, and then they will be in power at home as well if they adopt the same strategies we do, which is the people having final decision-making authority over our government. So anyways, we need to get it done. If we do not get this done, all hell's going to break loose. We're not going to be able to get back on top of this, and other countries need to do the same. So we can show them here in Canada, and yes, we do need housing for these people, but there's right now there's buildings that could also be used that they're not using, okay, to be able to help these people out. So I'm all for helping everybody planet-wise, everybody getting back their rights over their natural resources, like what we need to happen here, instead of giving it to private corporations, and we only get nothing technically out of that. Just a little wee chunk, just to keep us shut up. And then, they can do whatever they want. They can make all kinds of money from our country, but yet we're not allowed. And we're stuck with the debt. So go to the powershift.ca, sign your Citizens Convention of Consent, please, and join the C.P.U. and let's make positive change happen. So thank you. And, que sera, sera. I'm throwing everything out in the air today, and whatever happens, happens. But let's keep moving forward, keep our vibrations high, see that, yes, there's a future for all of us. And yes, we can all put them behind bars if we're smart enough, and make them stop what they're doing. Somebody should have put them behind. The RCMP should have had Trudeau and Freeland behind bars a long time ago, and Doug Ford. Thank you.